Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick, and Happy New Year. Happy 2020. Well, last year in 2019, we saw lots of jobs announcements, including substantial international investment in our state. There were also some job cuts, notably Cummins announcing plans to slash more than 2,000 jobs company-wide. But what can we expect for the Indiana economy in 2020? Center for Business and Economic Research at Ball State, the director of that institute, Mike Hicks. He's here now with his forecast for the year ahead. Mike, as always, welcome back and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
Okay, before we look ahead, let's look back, because 2019 was an eventful year. Again, lots of jobs announcements, a budget surplus, lots of positives. Also, a lot of manufacturing job losses, too.
Right. Well, if we look back even over a decade, we're now at full 10 years of economic recovery. Never happened before. And so Indiana's done fairly well. We've added jobs each year. We've added manufacturing jobs since 2010. And so maybe this year is an anomalous. Maybe after 10 years of growth, maybe there's just a quick pause in manufacturing. And so as we look at this year, job growth, negative, maybe 10,000 manufacturing jobs, but it doesn't seem to spill over in anything else. So we've had a reasonably good year despite the factory job losses. Looking into next year, probably a little bit slower growth than 2019, but no huge warning signs anywhere in our economy.
Good. One thing that stood out to me, because it's been such a big issue in our state for a number of years, and that's income growth. And that's a positive for 2019.
Just the last quarter growth, Indiana led the Midwest in income growth. It was a huge piece of good news. Now, nationally, we know over the past 18 months or so, we've been seeing wage growth that has been largely absent from this recovery. We've seen it coming everywhere, particularly in the lower wage sector. So we're beginning to see wage pressure in those very tight labor markets. So that's great news. That keeps employment sustained throughout the year in those areas where households are consuming. Pretty good Christmas season, I think, here in Indiana and everywhere else. So that's fantastic news, and sort of gives a sense that maybe the economy isn't stalling as we thought maybe 6 months ago.
Well, let's look ahead, because there are some on the national scene predicting maybe an economic slowdown, some even talking recession. What do you see in the tea leaves, especially as it relates to Indiana?
Right. Well, it's hard to read the tea leaves. The model, I just cannot force it into recession. There's just too much consumer confidence. Even with the manufacturing job losses, as I said, they're not spilling over into the rest of the economy as we would have expected 10 years or 30 years ago. So part of that could just be a natural progression, manufacturing sort of adjusting to a new environment after a decade of growth. So I think we'll probably see growth just under 2%. I think we're going to continue to see wage growth as those labor markets remain very tight. I think we'll see some pockets of difficult times. We've had a bad year in the RV industry, for example. It probably will rebound a bit this year. And so I don't see any real problems. I think we'll end the year with a budget surplus. If the trade war could be ended, we're going to have a pretty good year. When unemployment rate's down to under 3.5%, it's hard to see fast growth. Where are the workers going to come from to fuel a huge expansion?
As you look at storylines in the year ahead in 2020, as you and I were talking off camera, talent and keeping talent, attracting talent, going to continue to be a big issue, right, here in Indianapolis, but really in every corner of the state.
Well, that's our number one issue here in Indiana. The jobs that were created over this long recovery have not been as robust. They've been more concentrated in low-wage sectors. Again, some of that may be changing with the wage growth, but we cannot fuel a big modern economy without more of those college-educated folks staying. So what's happening in central Indiana, which is absorbing more than 100% of the growth of the state, really has to extend to the rest of the state. The governor's mentioned that in his concern over growth hitting every corner of the state. But I think that's really the talent attraction, focusing on talent like the Greensburg story, are all part of where we're now headed in economic development.
And a final question, too, as we get into rural Indiana, too, some challenging areas, though, when it comes to job creation and talent, all those issues we talk about, maybe a bit easier. It's happening in metro areas, but the rural areas face some challenges.
Right. All the job growth in Indiana is happening in these 2 or 3 metro areas. And the advantage Indiana has over the rest of the nation, where, let's be plain, rural has really struggled, is that we're a compact state. You're not more than 40 minutes from a city anywhere. So that's a happy story for much of Indiana. I think it give us a better rural future than, say, Iowa or South Dakota.
All right. Fairly positive outlook for 2020. Mike Hicks, as always, thanks for being here. I know you're going to join us on The Insiders a little bit later, so we'll see you then.